What's going on, everybody? B. Scott and GOD here, and we're talking the 2022 NFL Draft. It's draft week. We're ready to kick off our NFL season, our fantasy season, all the good stuff. So keep it locked and loaded right here at the first 4 downs.
You already know what it is. 2022. Let's go get it.
What's going on, guys, and welcome back. B. Scott, GOD here. And look, this is the kickoff show for the 2022 NFL season. We got the NFL Draft. It's draft week.
Hello.
We're excited because we're going to be actually attending the draft live. We're going to bring you some live content for sure. And yeah, it's been a crazy offseason. We haven't really been able to get too much content out for the offseason stuff with the crazy moves that have been happening. Fantasies around the corner, all the good stuff. And I'll tell you right now.
It's been, it's just been absolute madness. Like, outside of like Tom Brady, well, he's back too, obviously.
Right.
Who's on what team anymore, though? Like, who do I draft that's still on the same team? Even Matt Ryan has switched teams. It's just complete madness.
Yeah, of course. So before we get today's content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, share, thumb bell. And then obviously, if you're listening to it on the podcast, go ahead and drop a nice review, subscribe, follow us there as well.
Go ahead and get a knuckle in there.
Absolutely. So first off, we're going to talk a little bit of the offseason.
Yeah.
So like you mentioned, a lot of the crazy moves. Russell Wilson changing teams, and in a move that makes no sense to me. First off, because why would Seattle give up a Hall of Fame type quarterback? But it is what it is. They're looking to rebuild, I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
They got an old head coach. I mean, that's the only thing that could possibly be the problem there. You know what I'm saying? If they feel like that Russell Wilson is overpaid, or they can't further him as where they have him at in their system, I get it. You let him go, but that's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Honestly, he could have probably won 2 Super Bowls had they had the right play at the right time, but Malcolm Butler put it into that really quickly. Going to the AFC West, that division is loaded, minus the Tyreek Hill, but there is fireworks in that division.
Yes.
You even look at the Raiders. Devontae Adams switched sides. You know what I'm saying? It's like there are a lot of things going on in that AFC, NFC as well. I don't know. Russell Wilson, what do you see happening forward with that offense and what they could potentially do? Can they win that division, or are they still going to be the laughingstock and be at the bottom?
Well, that's the thing. The worst part is, first off, Seattle losing a quarterback. That's what you build around, is that one position, quarterback, period. Unless you have an elite defense or an elite type offense, even then a run heavy, you need an elite defense, and they don't have that either. So I don't know what Seattle was thinking trading them. Look, my problem with Denver winning the division is that they do have a first-year head coach. So this is my only little worry here. But regardless, they're moving in the right direction. I think Denver absolutely can compete in this division because you got the Los Angeles Chargers, who are going to shoot themselves in the foot more likely than not. You've seen it last year.
They've been doing it since.
That's what I'm saying.
Forever.
You got the Kansas City Chiefs, who got worse, losing Tyreek Hill. Crazy offseason. Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams on the Raiders. So
not necessarily knowing what's going on with Tyrann Mathieu. That's a really big thing for that defense. And you think about how that defense stepped up when they acquired him a couple years ago. So, just them falling off in that matter as well. You know what I mean? It's really crazy. In Seattle, they go from the Legion of Boom to the Legion of Gloom.
Yeah,
there's a lot of sad faces around there.
Yeah, absolutely. With what's the quarterback now? Drew Lock. At the moment, So obviously in the draft, I really think they could be addressing the quarterback position. You got Malik Willis. You got Kenny Pickett. Both these guys, they could go with Ritter later on if they want to look in the second round if he falls in that direction.
Yeah.
There's talks of Baker Mayfield. He's still available.
That should be a no-brainer to me.
In my opinion, it should be too, because did we see the best of Baker Mayfield or the worst of Baker Mayfield? And at the end of the day, I think you look back to last season and him playing so injured on one shoulder. How can you justify that, considering he's shown flashes of being better and improving as a player?
Yeah.
And in an offense without really any offensive weapons.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing, a number one overall prospect is available right now for your team. And like you said, have we seen the best of Baker or the worst of Baker? I think that just at the least amount right now, I think we've seen the worst of what Baker Mayfield can do last year, being hurt and just trying to drive itself through that situation. He obviously should have probably taken some time off, and he probably would still have a starting role. But when it comes to acquiring a top 5 talent like Deshaun Watson, now you're on the back end of it. But for the Seattle Seahawks, yes, they should be screaming and chomping at the bit to get a guy like this, being that You know, if you feel like you've seen the best of Baker Mayfield in the system that Pete Carroll runs over there, he's not going to have to air out the ball that much. And
Nope.
you got a DK Metcalf, and you have a Tyler Lockett and a Noah Fant now. There's a lot of things that work to his favor, you know what I'm saying? Except the offensive line, obviously. That's going to be a huge one, and one thing I would like to see Seattle address finally. But who knows with Seattle? They were on fire, and now they are a dumpster fire.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So now with the news of the Deebo Samuel situation and the wide receiver transitions, we see Tyreek Hill making $30 million, Devontae Adams $27.5 million. Deebo Samuel is looking to get paid. There's a lot of speculation on a lot of these parts, whether it's he's doing too much for the team doesn't want to pay him for what he's doing, whether he wants to reel back his play, whether they want to reel back his play, whatever you want to speculate on. He doesn't want to be in San Francisco anymore. That's the legit situation at the moment. Now, going into the draft, there's lots of ways in which I could see Deebo Samuel on a new team. If I was the San Francisco 49ers, there's no way in hell I trade him away just because he's such a bright asset. But, I mean, you look what the Chiefs did with Tyreek Hill. You can't turn down a deal that big, 5 picks for Tyreek Hill. So, Deebo Samuel, is he a 49er heading into the draft?
Here's the thing. Deebo is in a prime position, and we hear, Deebo on this beach cruiser just punking everybody the way Deebo do right now because he's kind of in a space where he can do that. You know what I mean? He has the leverage right now. You think about the 49ers as an organization and what they got going on, and they still have Jimmy Garoppolo on this roster. It makes no sense saying that they will foot the bill for the $25 million. That's all that you need to pay Deebo Samuel. And you don't have to pay Trey Lance for 4 years. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's one confusing part about it. And, if it has anything to do with money on a generational type player like Deebo Samuel has shown to be, carried them to the playoffs last year and through the playoffs last year until, that last game or whatever, it must be the money. You know what I'm saying? The same old song that Deion Sanders sung back in the day when he was with the Niners. And then they didn't pay him. And what happened? He left. And that was the end of the dynasty. That was the end of that run for the San Francisco 49ers. They have to pay this kid. There's no thing about it. Anywhere he goes or gets traded, he's going to get paid. That's where the market is at right now. And it is that dynamic. What are you going to rely on? George Kittle, who has a touchdown every 2 years, who's always hurt? That it does not fit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know what they expect. You know what I'm saying? Especially inside that division. Yes. You see a bit of a wound from Arizona. They fell off, completely shit the bed second half of the season. Lost wide receivers, Christian Kirk. He signed a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Great mouthpiece, obviously.
Yeah.
Went to go sign a big deal over there. AJ Green is not back on the roster, so we're expecting them to draft one of these dynamic wide receivers in this class. So they've been pushed back a little bit.
And the Rams, the Kyler holdout.
Yeah, the Kyler holdout. That's a very big possibility there. You look at, even with Odell Beckham and Robert Woods being traded, they still somehow found the LA Rams still somehow found a secondary wide receiver over there in Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have to still compete in a really great division. No matter if Seattle or Arizona is still behind the thing. And what you're doing right now just don't match. It's really unlucky that that Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill played this big part into doing this, and all these receivers are moving around right now. But I understand it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you really want to get paid top money. Why sit back? You know what I mean? But also, the thing about it is they're still on rookie deals. You know what I mean? And they can still get tags and all this other stuff drawn out. So I don't know if we're in for a long run with this or not. You know what I'm saying? But if it was me, I would probably pay Deebo Samuel, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. Their best offensive player by far, not even close. 8 rushing touchdowns, led all wide receivers, over 300 receiving yards. Still had average over 10 yards after contact in receptions. So it's like,
best wide receiver since T.O.
Yeah, the numbers show themselves. So obviously it makes no sense that relationship is kind of falling apart. The Jimmy Garoppolo situation, the only reason I see it holding up now is the man can't throw a football. So what team wants to really get a quarterback that can't throw the football and you don't know what you're going to get from him right now? So that's the hard part. And they want to trade. He has a little bit of value. I mean, they don't want to just let him walk. You know what I'm saying? So,
I'll let him walk.
I know. I know.
Straight off the San Francisco Pier.
But Trey Lance, we don't know what to expect from him yet, too. So he hasn't played a ton of football just in his whole entire career. So
you got to let him play, and that's the thing about it. You trade your first round picks away to acquire this talent, and now you don't have a first round pick to replace Deebo Samuel.
Yep.
So you have to pay this guy. That's why Deebo's doing what he's doing. So the leverage is there, and the NFC West is just up in smoke right now.
Yeah, of course. The 49ers don't have a first round pick, obviously, because they traded for Trey Lance. So there's not much they're going to be looking at. I mean, obviously, if Deebo Samuel, someone walks in and wants to give him a first-round pick and a second-round pick and a couple picks next year, that's the only way I could see it happening, a Tyreek Hill type deal. And then that's the only way I would take a chance because there's a deep enough wide receiver class. You got 4 or 5 pretty solid wide receivers in this class that are projected in the first round. So,
well, being that Deebo was a new type of position, a wide back that they're dubbing it, you think about different offenses and does he necessarily fit in their system? Can they really achieve what he does best, being that they don't really run this? Outside of Atlanta, I don't know any other team that really does this at all. You know what I mean? So I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people probably hold him back on 2 first-round picks or future picks, and you know what I'm saying, involved with this as well. But we'll see what happens. I think it's going to continue to play out. I'm not really sure that it'll be addressed by this draft weekend.
Yeah, I don't think so either. There's been lots of speculation for a lot of teams. Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, right now, if I was Kansas City, I'd be aiming to get them, flat out, because they just lose Tyreek Hill. You could really utilize a player like Deebo Samuel. You have 2 first-round picks, albeit they're late rounds. So you give up 1 this year, and then you give up second round, and, you get these things kind of hashed out. So obviously, we're heading into the draft. Not that strong of a draft by any means for certain positions. We know the quarterback position. There's lots of talks. Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis. These are 2 that are probably going to go in the first round. Do you see any of these guys going as high as in the top 10, realistically, to some of these teams? Or do you think teams, so in my opinion, I think teams are just going to wait it out?
There's a couple of teams. I mean, like, realistically, the number 2 pick could possibly be Malik Willis right here. You know what I mean? I'm looking at this situation like, they got Jared Goff over there. I get it. Maybe he's not the pick that he once was. You know what I mean? Maybe he's not the guy that he once was. If you want to resurrect or try to plan for the future, maybe you want to take Malik Willis here. But I know that your defense sucks, and maybe you want to take, Tavon Walker or Thibodeau or one of these guys right here to improve that pass rush, because in that division,
their defense was terrible.
Yeah, in the division, you got to get after Kirk Cousins. You're going to have to get after Justin Fields, Aaron Rodgers. You have to add to this defense, or otherwise, just trade back down. You know what I mean? I would trade that pick, to a team who has two first rounders. To be honest with you, Detroit does not have one thing that they need. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things like in multiple years that they're going to have to try to get this thing done. But I'm not necessarily sure if Malik Willis with the number 2 pick overall is going to solve the problem, because, I mean, Goff is obviously still going to play. You know what I mean? So you're going to sit this kid. You don't have the time, I don't feel like, to sit back and nurture a pick like this.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, it'd be better if they just traded back, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course. But at this point,
or go defensive lineman.
Yeah, lots of teams. There's a lot of talks that there's not going to be much movement come Thursday, because a lot of these teams aren't looking to move up. So in my opinion, obviously we know. Let's go run through the top 10 picks. Jacksonville's not going to take a quarterback. Detroit, that's the spot with Malik Willis. Houston Texans, they believe in Davis Mills, I guess. They really do. I think you're going to see that they're obviously all in with him. So they're going to roll that dice.
I think he's a good
unless they go out second, third round, they potentially lean on somebody. But you got the Jets, they're not taking nobody. The Giants, they like Daniel Jones for some reason. Carolina Panthers at 6. This is the potential spot right here where Malik Willis could go, or Kenny Pickett. Because Sam Darnold, I just don't see him being the answer at this point in his career. You know what I mean? I just don't see it. So
at any point in his career. The guy sucks, man.
So Carolina, they have a lot of holes to fill. Don't get me wrong, but this could be a quarterback here. Atlanta needs a quarterback. Mariota's not going to be the answer long term. Seattle, we know, could potentially draft a quarterback.
Yeah, Atlanta definitely. They could take a quarterback, but it'll make more sense to add to that offensive line. I don't know. They could really use a receiver. You think about Calvin Ridley being out for the year, losing Julio Jones a year prior. Maybe a Deebo Samuel Calvin Ridley trade is in the works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would probably take that in a heartbeat.
Right? That'd be good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then you go down the list. I mean, New Orleans could take a chance on a quarterback. The Washington football team, I would probably draft a quarterback over with Carson Wentz on your team. And then Pittsburgh Steelers at 20. They potentially both these quarterbacks could be available at that point if they don't go higher. So it's going to be an interesting draft. I'm excited. There's going to be lots of wide receivers, obviously for fantasy purposes.
Yeah,
wide receivers.
I'm definitely going to try to keep up with a lot of it, but outside of the margaritas and everything like that on the strip, it's at the Bellagio Fountains, and I know we're going to be having a lot of fun. So, hopefully we can keep all this together.
Yeah.
But, the NFL draft should be dope. The biggest concerns, if we could switch gears a little bit to the AFC, and I'm looking at the fireworks that are happening in the AFC in the arms race, and you look at a team like the Baltimore Ravens, who were winning a lot of tight games last year, you know what I'm saying, with a roster that was absolutely decimated, you know what I'm saying. Down the stretch, Lamar, I don't know, constipation or something's going on with Lamar in his bowels, but what I'm saying is, like, everybody on the field, they cannot stay healthy at the same time. Let's say that we get at least a little bit healthy. Get one running back. You know what I'm saying? Get a couple of corners back. I think, what my biggest thing is, like, what can they do to stay in this arms race? Because if you're looking at it as a whole, we're looking at the defending AFC champions being the number one team right now, because obviously Kansas City has lost a step with Tyreek Hill being gone and Tyrann Mathieu not being there. We already mentioned that. Then you got Buffalo, who's right there in that mix as well. But I feel like they're a running back away from really just taking over all the football. You know what I'm saying? For years to come. And if they get their hands on Kenneth Walker, all bets are off. I don't see nobody. Tampa's not beating Buffalo. It's just not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even in the AFC, I don't see a lot of teams beating this team if they just get a battle axe at the running back position. Yes, Von Miller, absolutely, for his leadership, it helps him a lot. I don't see him being there that long, being effective. He was in the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, I don't know what to say, Buffalo, but he won't be lasting that long. But it does help bring something to that pass rush, which they've needed for a long time.
And a veteran presence, yeah, absolutely.
They lose Levi Wallace on the other side of Tre'Davious White. You know what I'm saying? So they could add a quarterback in the draft, obviously. You know what I'm saying? They need a running back.
They do.
Gabriel Davis is a beast over there for fantasy people. You should know that name, and you should know it twice when the draft week comes. The kid is going to clown. You know what I'm saying? I would be taking him over a lot of different people. Then they got Jamison Crowder over there. There's nothing but speed on that offense. But they need a battle axe. An absolute battle axe like a Leonard Fournette. One of these kind of players that can handle the rock. Because the committee that they have is just embarrassing.
Yeah.
Devin Singletary turning on the second half of the year. I get it. But we don't have time for them to do this every single year. What can Baltimore do to really establish themselves and stay in this mix, this arms race? You look at the Cincinnati Bengals. They've upgraded that offensive line. That one last play at the end, when Aaron Donald finally bust through and finally made his presence felt and won the game on that. They beefed up this offensive line. So you can expect them back slugging it out like they were last year. They won a lot of tight games too. That division is known for fighting. That's what they do. So what can Baltimore do? Well, I know they got Calais Campbell back. That's a sign of hope. But you need some pressure over there. So with the 14th pick, you should be looking to get some kind of defensive line pressure. I don't know where Tyrese Bowser is with that injury. You know what I'm saying? Justin Houston, he's old. I don't even know if he's on the roster still. Maybe you add a little bit of if Sauce Gardner somehow slips to you, that would be a great pick. Stingley, great pick to add to the secondary, you know what I mean, who was down, Marcus Peters, Tony Jefferson.
Yeah.
You have to get your defense back together because, like I said, it was a lot of tight games last year, period.
Yep.
Lamar can always bring you back. It don't matter.
Yep.
He's that kind of player. when you have a top 5 talent, you got a special talent. They can always bring you back, but it can't be always on that player. Hopefully we get some J.K. Dobbins, some Gus Edwards back. You know, a second year for Bateman. Hollywood catch some balls.
Yeah. He was good when Lamar was started. He just cooled off.
Because I'm starting to call him Butterfingers Brown.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like he don't catch balls. And, of course, the new reigning number 1 tight end, Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
AFC West is absolutely loaded.
Yes.
Does Devontae Adams make Derek Carr better, though? You know
Well, that's the thing. Look at Derek Carr. I think he had one of his best years outside of not throwing a lot of touchdowns. 4,800 passing yards. And honestly, halfway through the season was leading the league in passing yards.
And that division got to throw touchdowns.
He started out hot. Yeah, absolutely he does. But now he's got a receiver that can catch touchdowns.
That's
you know?
a fact.
So this is what we were already talking about. Can Derek Carr throw 40 touchdowns? That's what I think the number's got to be for them to really compete in this division. You're looking at 35 to 40 touchdowns he's got to be able to throw. And I think Devontae Adams is going to be a huge help on the offense. Fantasy purposes, I don't really know. I don't like him as a top 3 wide receiver this year. I really don't, because I don't know if Derek Carr can produce Devontae Adams at the same rate as Aaron Rodgers.
Do we have like an alarm kind of chime? You know what I'm saying? That we could. Josh Jacobs fantasy.
Yes.
Go get him.
Absolutely.
Those lanes are going to be wide open.
Yeah.
It's impossible. Darren Waller. Devontae Adams. Brian Edwards. Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
Foster Moreau going to catch some touchdowns too. So Josh Jacobs is going to have a great year.
Woo.
But for the draft, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited. You leave tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow. I'll go out there, chill out, you know, get everything together. So when you guys touch down Thursday, we have everything together and ready to go and ready to rock this thing.
Yep.
Godzilla, man, you know, this is what we do.
Yep. So we're ready. So anyway, once again, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, share, thumb bell, all that good stuff. Drop a comment in the comment section. We're going to be at the draft. Just check in. We're going to be dropping videos daily for your entertainment. We're going to be enjoying and having a good time, and hopefully you guys can too. So for the first 4 downs, it's been B. Scott.
G.O.D.
And we out.
Yeah, yeah.